The other day, I did a video about the Compsych Stress Pulse Report, which interviewed employees across North America in all different industries and found some really alarming numbers about stress. It found that nearly 60% of all the employees interviewed report feeling chronic stress that is overwhelming, including overwhelming fatigue and a sense of loss of control. Now, there's no other word but alarming to describe that, really. I mean, at least that, for me, is the most alarming thing. Now, what I want to talk about, though, is that the number one reason that these people gave for the stress that they're experiencing is the workload. It was almost 40% of those people reported the workload as the reason for that chronic stress. Now, it is true that companies have been doing more with less for over 20 years now, right? And so that it is absolutely true that you are probably handling the kind of the workload that should be handled by 1.5 or 2 of you, okay? And that's true, and that's something that we can meet with a sense of self-compassion, which I will cover in another video soon, okay? But the really important thing to recognize about this aspect of this number one reason for chronic stress in the workplace is that it's not the workload itself that causes the stress, right? Yes, the workload will contribute to a sense of fatigue, and the workload will drain us of energy, and it might feel overwhelming at times. But the stress is always going to come from the emotions that we're experiencing in response to that workload. And the emotions come from the way we perceive that workload, which is to say, as we're really busy and we're overwhelmed with all this work we have to do, what's going on in our minds, right? Are we, is the talk track something along the lines of, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I got to quit this job. I got to find something else. I can't live like this. This is terrible. I'm losing I'm losing my mind, whatever it is. I don't mean to laugh, right? This is really stuff that goes through our minds. And as that stuff's going through our minds, there's a part of our nervous system, part of our brain and system here that believes that's true. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting fired, right? And so that's where the stress comes from, because your body perceives a threat in that moment, and it responds in the only way your body knows how to respond, which is the stress hormones that cause the stress response, right? Which means that as we're sitting there just dealing with emails that we have to write, our heart rate is increasing, our blood pressure is increasing, we're breathing shallow and quick. And we're putting ourselves into this situation. Now, the thing that's really important to remember, though, is that the more this stress response happens, the bigger the workload seems, the more extreme it seems, the more scary it seems, which then increases the stress. And it becomes this, a feedback loop that can last for a whole career. Right? This is something that could just keep going every single day until you just burn out and you quit, you retire, you get sick, whatever it is. Okay? Now, there's something really, really helpful that you can do right now. Okay? As soon as this video is over, you can do this practice, and it will help enormously. Because remember, it's about the perception of the workload more than it is about the workload. So what we can do is, what I like to say, notice what is. Now, counterintuitively, it's going to require you to pause for a moment or two, right? Which is like, how can I stop? I got all this stuff to do. Trust me, stopping for 2 minutes is not going to throw all that off that much in terms of your schedules. And stopping for 2 minutes is going to give you a renewed energy to be able to handle this stuff more efficiently and with less of that emotional fear and without the stress, okay? But now here's the important thing. It's not just about stopping and closing your eyes and putting your hands on your lap, because the thoughts are not going to stop, right? Then you're going to be sitting there saying, I'm just sitting here and the work's piling up. Oh my gosh, it's getting worse, right? So what we want to do when we do that pause, we want to sort of notice the reality of the situation. Yes, I have all this work to do, but I also am breathing right now. I'm also sitting in a, relatively comfortable chair. I have a roof over my head. I have access to water and to coffee and food. I can get up from my desk and use the washroom if I have to. I have a family that I'm supporting. I'm happy to have a job to earn income. These things are also as much true as the 20 emails that you have to respond to. This stuff is true too. And that's the thing. By paying attention to some of these, more positive aspects of your right now experience, you're tempering that perception in your mind. You're balancing it out. And in that balance, the stress comes down, because in that balance, we feel, okay, this isn't so bad. I can make it through this. Okay. And from that space of balance, and the thing is that the more you do this, right, if you do this little practice, just pausing for a couple of, a minute or two, and just recognizing all those things that are positive about right now, or safe about right now, then doing that a few times a day, after just a few weeks, you're going to start habitually doing that. And so the stress isn't going to have a chance to really take hold anymore. You're going to be resilient to the stress. And then what happens is, as you start to become more resilient to the stress and you start feeling more, grounded and regulated moment by moment, well, then you have new ways to approach some of the stuff that you have going on. You can be more efficient about it. You can be more effective about it. And that changes the whole thing. Now, next video, I'm going to talk about the second reason people gave, which was interpersonal experiences or issues in the workplace. And that is my wheelhouse. So watch out for that video. Thanks for watching, and I wish you well.